you invoked Aristotle's conformity theory, and of course that was replaced by a representational theory of knowledge, a propositional representational theory, for various reasons. One was trying to account for the Copernican revolution, etc. We had nominalism that said those patterns aren't out in the world, and that's why I keep saying Jonathan is more radical than he sometimes realizes, because he's challenging a fundamental nominalism in his work. And Kant is the culmination of that. The real patterns are only in your mind, and we have no access to the world, and there's reasons why we got there. And then of course there are related issues around ideas of levels of being, which is I think you're right. All of you have said this, and this is central to the phenomenology of intelligibility, but it seems to be, contradicted by something that, starts with Scotus and goes through Occam and goes into the heart of the scientific revolution. Is there's no such thing as levels. This is not reality just is, existence isn't a predicate, and those kinds of things. Now, I'm not mentioning these things to espouse them. I'm mentioning them to try and indicate there have been very profound philosophical historical developments that have challenged this phenomenology, and that part of the task, I don't want to be presumptuous. Part of what I see my task of being is to try and take the very best of science and answer all of those challenges in a way that restores confidence in the hierarchies of intelligibility and the phenomenology of connectedness. Now, that's one thing I'd want to say. The second thing...
Now, why are you doing that? Why are you called to do that, John, do you think?
Well, I'm called to do that because, this is how I put it to my students who take my introduction to cognitive science. We have a scientific worldview in which science and the scientists and their meaning making have no proper ontological place. We are the whole. Science and we are the black hole within this worldview that dominates us. And let's be very clear, and this is Heidegger's point. The domination is not just ideational or even ideological. It is woven into the fabric of our technology, the ways we communicate. It's woven into our cognitive grammar. We talk about, even the way that we divide subjective and objective. One of Gibson's points, right, Jordan, you mentioned Gibson, is the notion of an affordance. And an affordance is not properly objective or subjective. The graspability of this cup is not a feature of the cup. It's not a subjective feature of me. It's a real relation between me. And so, Gibson's work is really profound. This is why it gets taken up into 40 cognitive science. He's trying to challenge this grammar. And there's a whole bunch of us. I'm in no way a singular individual, although I might be a bizarre one. But I represent a lot of people who are feeling called to the fact that this lack of ontological placement and the fact how the way it ramifies through our ontological technological structure and our cultural cognitive grammar, the very ways we think, is causing massive suffering.
Yes, I'm absolutely right. I'm unclear about that a bit. I'm still unclear about exactly what you mean. What is this black hole? Is this the insistence on the absolute distinction between the subjective and the objective?
No.
What is this black? Okay, so what is?
Well, what I meant, it's related to that. But what I was directly referring to at the black hole is that does science exist? Okay, if it is, what kind of entity is it? And tell me, using physics or chemistry or even biology, use just that ontology and those methodology. Tell me what science is, and tell me how it has the status to make the claims it does. And tell me how science is related to meaning and truth, and how do meaning and truth fit into the scientific worldview? They're presupposed by that worldview, but they have no proper place within it. That's what I mean. So whenever we're doing the science and saying this is what the world is, we are absenting ourselves from it. We have no home in which we are properly situated. And I think that ramifies through everything we think, say, and do to each other and with each other in a profoundly corrosive way. That's what I mean by the meaning group.